What if the man you loved was just waiting for you to die? That thought alone could shatter someone. But for Emily Carter, it wasn't just a thought. It was something she heard with her own ears. It was a quiet evening in the old countryside house she shared with her husband, Mark. The wind hummed against the windows. Dinner dishes sat untouched on the table. And from the hallway, Emily heard his voice, low, cold, and certain. As soon as she dies, all the money is mine. Her hands froze. The glass she was holding slipped and shattered against the tiles. Mark's laughter followed, cruel and confident. She's too weak to last much longer anyway. Her heart stopped. He wasn't talking to her. He was talking on the phone to someone else. Emily backed away from the kitchen door, careful not to make another sound. Every breath hurt. Every heartbeat echoed in her skull. She wanted to believe she misheard, that it was some sick joke. But deep down, she knew. This was real. Earlier that year, the doctors had told her she had a rare heart condition, something that might one day take her life suddenly. Mark had been supportive, or so she thought. He made her soup, took her to appointments, sat beside her hospital bed with that perfect, rehearsed smile. But now, every memory of his kindness twisted like a knife. Was any of it real? Her vision blurred. She stumbled toward the living room, clutching her chest. Through the window, she could see the dark fields of their property, her father's land. The one thing he left her before he died, and the reason Mark had married her so quickly. Now she understood. He didn't marry her for love. He married her for inheritance. Emily stood in the middle of the room, trembling. She thought of confronting him, screaming, demanding the truth. But something inside her stopped her hand from touching that doorknob. Not yet. If she showed her cards now, she'd lose. So she wiped her tears. She straightened her robe. She walked back to her bedroom like nothing had happened. When Mark came in an hour later, he smiled like the devil in a suit. "Feeling better, sweetheart?" Emily smiled back, weak, fragile, convincing. "Much better," she whispered. He kissed her forehead. "Good. You need your strength." And she whispered back, just loud enough for him to hear, "I will. Don't worry, I'll be around for a long, long time." His smile flickered just for a second, but that second was enough, because now Emily knew her role. She wasn't the dying wife anymore. She was the woman pretending to die to catch the man waiting to bury her. The hallway light flickered as Mark disappeared into his study. Emily lay in the dark, her mind racing. She would wait. She would plan. Because he thought she was weak. He thought she was almost gone. But what he didn't know was that she had already started recording every single word. And the next sound she'd hear wouldn't be his laughter, it would be the sound of his downfall. Morning came slow. The sun pushed pale light through the curtains, touching the corners of a room that used to feel safe. Emily lay still in bed, eyes open, pretending to sleep. She could hear Mark in the kitchen, humming, frying eggs, pretending to be the perfect husband. The smell of coffee drifted in. Normally, that scent made her feel warm. Today, it made her stomach turn. "You should eat something," he called. "Doctor said you need protein." His voice was gentle, too gentle, the kind that hides sharp edges. Emily pushed herself up, careful not to let the anger show on her face. "I'll be right there," she said softly. She caught her reflection in the mirror. Pale skin, messy hair, tired eyes. A woman halfway between the living and the dying. But behind those tired eyes, something new had started to burn. Determination. Downstairs, Mark smiled as she entered. "Morning, beautiful." She forced a small smile. "Morning." He placed a plate in front of her, eggs, toast, perfectly arranged. The same breakfast he'd made every day since her diagnosis. "You need strength," he said again. She looked up. "Why, planning something that'll take it out of me?" He blinked. "What?" "Nothing," she said, brushing it off. "Just a joke." He chuckled, pretending not to notice her tone. But something in his eyes flickered suspicion, maybe. She looked away quickly. She needed to be careful. After breakfast, Mark left for work. Emily knew that meant his real job, managing her father's estate, pretending to be the hardworking son-in-law everyone admired. She watched his car disappear down the dusty road, then exhaled the breath she'd been holding. The silence in the house was deafening. That was when she took her phone out of her robe pocket and replayed the recording. "As soon as she dies, all the money is mine." The words filled the room like poison. Emily closed her eyes. Her hands trembled, but she pressed save. That single recording was her first weapon. The rest of the day, she went through the motions, folding laundry, watering the plants, walking carefully through the old farmhouse. Every corner of that house held memories: her father's laughter, her mother's cooking, the old piano in the parlor. Now all of it felt like a set piece in a play she didn't audition for. And Mark was the villain performing perfectly for the world. Neighbors adored him. Her doctor said she was lucky to have him. Even her best friend, Clara, used to whisper, "You've got yourself a good man." Emily almost laughed. If only they knew. That night, she called Clara. "Hey," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Emily, I was just thinking about you." "How are you feeling?" Emily hesitated. "Better, but listen, I need your help." "Anything. I need you to come by tomorrow, but don't tell Mark." A pause. "Is everything okay?" Emily swallowed. "Not yet, but it will be." The next morning, Clara arrived with a bag of groceries and her usual smile. But the moment she saw Emily's expression, her smile faded. "What happened?" Emily led her to the kitchen, closed the door, and pressed play on her phone. When the recording ended, Clara's eyes widened. "Oh my God, Emily!" "I need proof," Emily said quietly. "More than this. I can't go to the police with just one clip. He'll deny it. Say it's out of context." Clara nodded slowly. "What do you want to do?" Emily looked at the wedding photo hanging above the fireplace. Mark's hand rested on her shoulder in that picture. She used to think it was love. Now it looked like possession. "I'm going to let him believe I'm dying," she whispered. "Let him plan his victory. And when he does," she looked back at Clara, eyes sharp and unblinking, "I'll be ready." That night, Mark came home late. His shirt smelled like whiskey and expensive cologne. Emily was in bed, pale and weak. Her act was flawless. "Rough day?" she asked softly. He sighed, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Just work stuff, you know how it is." She smiled faintly. "I'm sorry I'm such a burden." He took her hand, squeezing it with feigned tenderness. "You're not a burden, Em, you're my world." She almost laughed. My world, she thought, or your ticket to it. He kissed her forehead and turned off the light. When his breathing grew steady beside her, she reached under her pillow, touched the small voice recorder she'd hidden there, and whispered into the dark. "Let's see how far you'll go, Mark." The following weeks blurred together, a long, slow performance that demanded everything from Emily. She became quieter, paler, more fragile than she truly was. Every cough, every staggered breath was part of the act. Mark seemed sympathetic at first, but slowly his mask began to slip. One morning, she was too weak to get out of bed. She listened from upstairs as he spoke on the phone in the kitchen. "Yeah, the doctors say it's getting worse," he said. "She's barely eating. I'll handle the estate paperwork soon." He paused, his tone lowering. "Once she's gone, I'll call the lawyer. The property transfers automatically." Emily's hand clenched around the bedsheet. He wasn't even pretending anymore. When she heard the front door close, she pressed record again. His every word was becoming her weapon. By the second week, he'd stopped hiding his irritation. "You didn't take your pills," he snapped one afternoon. "Do you want to die sooner?" She looked up from the chair by the window, her face blank. "I just forgot." He slammed the bottle onto the table. "You forget everything these days." Emily didn't answer. Silence was her power now. She let him talk, let his cruelty fill the room. The recorder, hidden under the flower vase, caught every sound. That night, she lay awake while he scrolled through his phone beside her. She turned her head slightly, feigning a whisper of sleep. Then she saw it, the message that flashed across his screen. "Don't worry, baby, it'll be over soon." Another woman. Her chest tightened, not from her illness, but from rage. He wasn't just waiting for her to die, he was already replacing her. She closed her eyes quickly before he noticed. In that moment, she decided, if he wanted her dead, she'd give him a death he'd never forget. The next morning, she told Clara everything. "He's seeing someone else," Emily said, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. Clara's jaw dropped. "You're sure? I saw the message myself." "Emily, this is dangerous. If he's capable of that, that's why I have to be smarter," Emily cut her off. "He can't know I'm recording him, not yet. I want him to feel safe. I want him to think he's already won." Clara looked terrified. "You're playing with fire." Emily smiled faintly. "Then let him burn first." Days passed. Emily's act grew more convincing. She skipped her medication, lost weight intentionally, let her hair grow dull. Mark began leaving her alone more often, staying out late, sleeping in the guest room because he didn't want to disturb her. But when he did come home, his behavior chilled her to the bone. He started mixing her tea himself, bringing her pills in person, watching closely as she swallowed. One night, he stood over her bed, whispering softly while he thought she was asleep. "It'll all be over soon, Em. I promise." She wanted to scream, but instead, she let a single tear slip from her eye, one he couldn't see in the dark. By now, Emily's body wasn't the only thing breaking. Her trust, her memories, her heart, all of it was collapsing under the weight of the truth. But she clung to one thing, the plan. Every cruel word, every threat, every false smile, all of it was now neatly stored on a hidden drive in the drawer of her father's old desk. The evidence was building, but Mark was getting impatient. One rainy night, he came home drunk. The storm outside raged as he stumbled into the bedroom. "You still alive?" he muttered, laughing. Emily turned her head weakly. "Barely." He sat on the edge of the bed, his eyes glazed. "You know, sometimes I wonder why you hold on. You look miserable." She swallowed hard. "Maybe I'm waiting for something," he frowned. "For what?" She gave him a small, eerie smile. "You'll see," he laughed, shaking his head. "Creepy as ever." Then he walked away, unaware that every word had been caught by the tiny camera now hidden inside the lamp. Later, when the house fell silent again, Emily stood at the window, watching the rain pour down over the fields her father once walked. Lightning flashed, illuminating her reflection, a woman who looked half dead but whose eyes were alive with purpose. He thought he was killing her slowly, but she was the one preparing the poison. The storm didn't stop. It lingered for days, gray skies pressing down on the house like a warning. Emily felt it too. The air had changed. Mark wasn't pretending anymore. The gentle husband act was gone. In its place stood a man who looked at her like she was already a ghost. One morning, she woke to find him sitting at the edge of the bed, staring. "Mark!" she whispered. He didn't answer, just tilted his head slightly, studying her face. "You don't look good," he said finally. "I haven't for a while," she replied. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, guess not." Then he stood up and walked away, leaving her frozen under the blankets. That silence that followed was worse than any threat. He started locking his office, taking phone calls outside, whispering into his headset when he thought she was asleep. Emily noticed everything. But the worst came 3 nights later. She was sitting in bed, reading, when Mark entered with a tray. Tea, as always. "Chamomile," he said, "helps you sleep." He set the cup down gently, too gently. Her heart thudded in her chest. "Thanks," she said. He smiled, but his eyes, they were empty. "You've been in pain long enough, Em. You deserve peace." She stared at him, forcing her hand not to shake as she lifted the cup. But she didn't drink, not yet. "Stay with me?" she asked softly. He blinked, surprised. "Yeah, sure." She took a fake sip, setting the cup aside. "I was thinking about my will," she murmured. His body stiffened. "Your will?" "Yes, I want to make sure everything goes where it should." He swallowed hard. "You don't need to worry about that. I'll take care of it." She smiled faintly. "I know you will." When he finally left the room, she poured the tea into the potted plant by the window. By morning, the leaves were wilted and black. That day, she called Clara again. "He tried," she said quietly, holding back tears. "I'm sure of it now." Clara's voice trembled. "Emily, you have to go to the police." "Not yet." "What do you mean, not yet?" "I need one more thing, a confession. Without it, it's just suspicion." "Emily, he's dangerous." Emily exhaled shakily. "So am I that night." She prepared the trap. She set up her phone camera behind the bookshelf, hidden beneath a stack of old photo frames. The microphone inside the lamp stayed on. When Mark came home, she was sitting in the dark, pale and motionless. "Mark," she whispered. He turned. "You okay?" "I think tonight's the night." He froze. "What do you mean?" "I can feel it. My chest, it's different. Maybe it's finally time." He took a slow step forward, his face unreadable. "You want me to call a doctor?" "No, just stay." He knelt beside her, taking her hand. "You've suffered enough, Em." Her breathing slowed, perfectly acted. "You'll take care of everything, right? The house, the money, the land." He squeezed her hand tighter. "You don't have to worry about any of that." Promise me, she whispered. I promise, he said, his voice almost tender. Once you're gone, everything will be taken care of. Her eyes flickered open. That's all you wanted, isn't it? He looked startled. What? She smiled faintly. You just couldn't wait for me to die. He stood up quickly. What the hell are you talking about? I heard you, Mark, weeks ago. As soon as she dies, all the money is mine. Remember? He froze, completely still. For a long moment, the only sound was the clock ticking behind them. Then his voice dropped low. You shouldn't have heard that. She stood slowly. You're not even denying it. He stepped closer, his tone turning cold. You were supposed to die peacefully. You could have made this easy. Easy for you, she said softly. He grabbed her wrist. Where's your phone? She stared at him. Why? Because I think you've been recording me. Emily's heart raced, but she kept her face calm. You're paranoid. He tightened his grip. Where is it? I told you, Mark. I'm dying, remember, she whispered. Why would I waste time recording you? For a moment, he hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his face. Then he released her hand. Get some rest. As he walked away, Emily's pulse pounded in her ears. He knew. It was only a matter of time now. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching headlights sweep across the road as he left again. When the house fell quiet, she whispered to herself, tomorrow. Tomorrow she would end this. Either he would go to prison, or she would end up exactly where he wanted her. There was no middle ground anymore. The next morning began like a scene from a movie she didn't want to be in, calm, almost peaceful. The kind of calm that comes before something breaks. Emily dressed carefully. A pale blue dress, the one Mark liked. She brushed her hair, dabbed color onto her cheeks. She looked like the perfect, dying wife, delicate and resigned. But behind her soft smile, her heart beat like thunder. At 9 o'clock a.m., Mark came down the stairs, his briefcase in hand. You're up early, he said, surprised. I wanted to talk before you go, Emily replied. He hesitated, then sat across from her at the kitchen table. What's this about? She looked down at her hands. My will, I want to finalize it today. Mark blinked, hiding his excitement poorly. That's good. I can call the lawyer and… I already did, she interrupted. He frowned. You what? Mr. Havorson, my father's old lawyer. He's coming this afternoon. Mark's jaw tightened. You should have told me, she smiled faintly. I wanted to surprise you. For a moment, silence. Then he forced a grin. Well, that's wonderful, Em. I'll make sure everything's in order. Good, she said softly. You should. When he left, she exhaled a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Her knees shook, but her eyes were steady. Clara arrived shortly after, clutching a small duffel bag. Are you sure you want to do this? Clara asked. Emily nodded. It ends today. She opened the bag. Inside was her laptop, hard drive, and every recording neatly labeled, time-stamped, and ready. Clara's hands trembled. You really recorded everything. Every word, Emily said quietly. Every threat, every lie. And the lawyer? He thinks we're just signing paperwork. He doesn't know the truth. Not yet. Clara looked at her, eyes wide with worry. What if Mark realizes what's happening? Emily smiled, cold and calm. He'll realize too late. Afternoon light spilled through the windows when Mark returned. His car tires crunched over the gravel driveway. He looked too calm, too confident. Lawyer's here, he asked, taking off his jacket. In the study, Emily said, waiting for us. She led him down the hall. Her heartbeat matched her footsteps, slow, deliberate, unshakable. Inside the study, Mr. Havorson sat at the table, his gray hair neatly combed, glasses perched low on his nose. Ah, Mr. Carter, he said politely. We're just reviewing the terms. Mark smiled, shaking his hand. Glad to be here. Emily sat quietly beside him. The lawyer opened the folder. Now, Emily has made some amendments to her will. She wants to make sure certain things are handled properly. Mark nodded eagerly. Of course, Havorson continued. She's transferring the land, the savings, and the estate. Mark leaned forward. Yes, to me, her husband. The lawyer glanced at Emily. Emily smiled softly. Actually, no, Mark blinked. What? She turned toward him. To the local orphanage my father supported, every last cent. Mark's face went pale. What you can't, I can, Emily said. And I just did. He stood up abruptly. Emily, we agreed. We didn't agree on anything, she interrupted, her voice steady. You did. Halvorsen frowned, glancing between them. Should I step out? No, Emily said. Please stay. She reached into her bag and pulled out the small voice recorder. Then she pressed play. As soon as she dies, all the money is mine. Mark froze. The lawyer's eyebrows shot up. Another clip played. She doesn't need to know. I'll handle the estate when she's gone. Then another. You were supposed to die peacefully. Mark's face drained of color. You recorded me. Emily stood up slowly. Every word, every threat, every time you lied to my face. Emily, this isn't. She held up her hand. Save it. Halvorsen cleared his throat. Mr. Carter, I think this conversation just became very serious. Mark looked at Emily, anger twisting his face. You planned this. Yes, she said simply. I had to. You wanted me dead. His voice cracked. You don't understand. Oh, I do. She stepped closer, her eyes fierce. You married me for money, you tried to poison me, you cheated. And you thought you'd walk away clean. He pointed a shaking hand at the recorder. You can't prove. I already did. She turned to Halvorsen. This copy goes to the police right after we sign. Another one's with my friend Clara. And one more is in my father's safety deposit box. Mark's mouth opened, but no words came out. The lawyer stood. Mr. Carter, I strongly suggest you leave before you make this worse for yourself. Mark's face twisted, rage, disbelief, fear all fighting at once. He took a step toward Emily. Don't, she said quietly. He stopped. Because for the first time, Mark, she whispered, you're the one with nothing. He left the house that afternoon with his briefcase and nothing else. The lawyer stayed to help her file the police report. When the officers came that evening, they took her statement and the recordings. One of them, a kind-eyed sergeant, nodded and said, You're a strong woman, Mrs. Carter. Emily smiled faintly. I had to be. That night, after everyone left, she stood on the porch as the sun dipped behind the hills. The air smelled like rain and freedom. Her hands trembled slightly, but this time it wasn't fear. It was relief. She turned on her phone and played the last recording, the one she'd made that morning. This is Emily Carter. If you're hearing this, it means I survived. Her own voice made her smile, because for the first time, it was true. The night air was still, too still. Anna stood on the porch of the house that had once been her cage. The moonlight fell over the broken glass, the overturned chair, reminders of the storm that had passed. Behind her, the police lights painted the yard in red and blue. Mark sat in the back of the police car, head down. His face, once smug, cold, and certain, was now pale and trembling. He didn't look like the man who'd whispered about her death. He looked like a boy caught in his own web. The detective approached Anna gently. You're safe now, he said. Your recording, that was brave. Anna gave a faint smile. Not brave, she said quietly. Just tired of pretending. She turned her gaze toward the window of their bedroom, where she'd once lain, pretending to sleep, pretending to trust, pretending to love a man who plotted her death. Everything he wanted, she murmured, wasn't even his. The detective nodded. He'll be charged with conspiracy, fraud, and attempted murder. You did the right thing. Anna exhaled slowly, as if letting go of years of silence. I just did what I should have done the first time I doubted him. She stepped down from the porch, walking toward the gate. The wind lifted her hair, brushing against her cheek like a whisper of freedom. And for the first time in years, the air didn't feel heavy. She passed the mailbox, the one Mark had once slammed shut when she tried to write her sister. She paused, ran her hand across it, then smiled softly. Not anymore, she whispered. No more silence. Behind her, Mark shouted through the car window. Anna, you can't do this to me. You loved me. She didn't turn back. Maybe, she said quietly, but you never did. The car door slammed, muffling his voice. The lights faded into the distance. Anna stood at the gate and looked at the horizon. The dawn was just beginning, a thin gold line cutting through the darkness. She took a deep breath. The air was cold, but it felt clean. Her sister's voice echoed in her mind, words she'd once said years ago. Love doesn't die when someone hurts you. It dies when you stop pretending. Anna smiled through quiet tears. She'd finally stopped pretending. And somewhere deep inside, she felt something she hadn't in years, peace. Moral. Evil hides behind the face of love until love decides to stop pretending. The night air was still, too still. Anna stood on the porch of the house that had once been her cage. The moonlight fell over the broken glass, the overturned chair, reminders of the storm that had passed. Behind her, the police lights painted the yard in red and blue. Mark sat in the back of the police car, head down. His face, once smug, cold, and certain, was now pale and trembling. He didn't look like the man who'd whispered about her death. He looked like a boy caught in his own web. The detective approached Anna gently. "You're safe now," he said. "Your recording, that was brave." Anna gave a faint smile. "Not brave," she said quietly, "just tired of pretending." She turned her gaze toward the window of their bedroom, where she'd once lain, pretending to sleep, pretending to trust, pretending to love a man who plotted her death. "Everything he wanted," she murmured, "wasn't even his." The detective nodded. "He'll be charged with conspiracy, fraud, and attempted murder. You did the right thing." Anna exhaled slowly, as if letting go of years of silence. "I just did what I should have done the first time I doubted him." She stepped down from the porch, walking toward the gate. The wind lifted her hair, brushing against her cheek like a whisper of freedom. And for the first time in years, the air didn't feel heavy. She passed the mailbox, the one Mark had once slammed shut when she tried to write her sister. She paused, ran her hand across it, then smiled softly. "Not anymore," she whispered. "No more silence." Behind her, Mark shouted through the car window. "Anna, you can't do this to me. You loved me." She didn't turn back. "Maybe," she said quietly, "but you never did." The car door slammed, muffling his voice. The lights faded into the distance. Anna stood at the gate and looked at the horizon. The dawn was just beginning, a thin gold line cutting through the darkness. She took a deep breath. The air was cold, but it felt clean. Her sister's voice echoed in her mind, words she'd once said years ago. "Love doesn't die when someone hurts you. It dies when you stop pretending." Anna smiled through quiet tears. She'd finally stopped pretending. And somewhere deep inside, she felt something she hadn't in years: peace. Moral: evil hides behind the face of love until love decides to stop pretending. The small town was quiet again. No police sirens, no shouts. Just the rustle of autumn leaves brushing against the porch steps. Anna had moved back into her mother's old cottage, a place that smelled like pine wood and safety. It was smaller, humbler, but it didn't whisper lies to her in the night. Every morning, she made coffee and watched the sun rise through the cracked window pane. She liked the silence now, the honest kind. But peace, she was learning, wasn't always quiet. Sometimes it came with noise from the past. One morning, the phone rang. "Mrs. Wells!" Her breath caught at the name. It was still strange to hear. "Yes, this is Anna. This is Detective Harris. There's been a development in your husband's case." Her stomach tightened. Mark. She hadn't heard his name in weeks, and yet it still stung like the first time. "What kind of development?" she asked carefully. "He's been talking," the detective said, "claiming someone else was behind it, that it wasn't just him." Anna froze. "Someone else? His lawyer says he was being pushed." The detective sighed. "He mentioned your financial advisor, a man named Thomas Gray." Anna frowned. "Thomas, that's ridiculous. He's been with our family for years. He helped manage my parents' estate before they passed." "I'm sure," the detective said, voice calm, "but we thought you should know. Sometimes snakes travel in pairs." Anna sat down slowly, the phone still warm in her hand. Thomas Gray. Her father had trusted him. Mark had too. And she had signed every paper Thomas placed in front of her, even the ones she hadn't understood because Mark had told her to. She whispered under her breath, "What did I miss?" The clock ticked loudly. Then she remembered something. A brown envelope tucked inside her late father's study drawer, sealed and never opened. Her hands trembled as she searched for it. Dust lifted as she pulled it free. It was labeled in her father's old handwriting. "For Anna, only if you ever stop trusting Thomas Gray." Her pulse quickened. Inside was a single page and a USB drive. The note read, "Thomas Gray is not who he says he is. He came into our lives with a smile, but with a plan. I couldn't prove it then. Maybe you can." Anna's chest tightened. Her father had known. She plugged the USB into her laptop, her hands shaking as she waited for it to load. Dozens of files appeared. bank statements, property transfers, hidden accounts, all under Mark's name, but with Thomas's signature in the witness line. Her breath hitched. Oh my God! It wasn't just Mark. He'd been working with Thomas the whole time, and Thomas had made sure the money would circle back to him when Mark went down. It was a trap, a deeper one than she'd ever realized. That night, Anna drove to the police station. Detective Harris met her at the door. You found something? She handed him the USB. My father knew. He left this for me. Thomas Gray's been laundering money through my husband's accounts for years. The detective raised an eyebrow. You sure you want to reopen this? Anna nodded firmly. I'm done pretending everything's fine just because I'm tired. 2 weeks later, Thomas Gray was arrested in his office, caught trying to wire funds overseas under a fake name. The news broke across local channels. Financial advisor implicated in estate fraud connection to attempted murder case. Anna watched it from her couch, tea in her hand. No tears, no shaking, just quiet relief. When the reporter mentioned her name, she muted the TV. She didn't want fame. She just wanted peace. That night, she walked out to the porch. The same porch where she'd once stood, watching Mark being taken away. The stars were brighter now, or maybe she could finally see them. Her neighbor, Mrs. Carter, waved from across the fence. You doing all right, honey? Anna smiled softly. Better than I've been in years. Mrs. Carter nodded. You've been through hell and back, but you don't look broken. Anna's smile deepened. I'm not, just rebuilt. She glanced toward the horizon. The same horizon that used to mean escape, now it meant freedom. For a long time, she had thought pretending was survival. Now she knew the truth. Survival begins when pretending ends. Later, before bed, she opened her father's old notebook. Inside was another note she'd never seen before. If life ever breaks you, Anna, let it, because the pieces that survive will be the real ones. She closed the book, tears warm on her cheeks. And this time, they weren't tears of fear, but of peace. The envelope came with no return address. Cream paper, neat handwriting. Her name spelled perfectly. Anna Wells. She almost didn't open it. It had been 6 quiet months since the trial ended. Mark had been sentenced to 25 years. Thomas Gray, 30. She thought that chapter was closed, buried, done. But when she saw the way her name was written, careful, deliberate, something inside her whispered, it's him. Anna sat at the kitchen table, the same spot where she used to stare at unpaid bills, trying to hide her shaking hands from Mark. The light from the window hit the letter just right. For a moment, she saw her reflection, older now, stronger, but still carrying the faint tremor of what she'd survived. She took a deep breath and opened it. Anna, they say prison is a place for punishment, but it's really a mirror. You see yourself for what you are and for what you've done. I know you think I wanted you dead, but I swear I didn't mean for it to go that far. Thomas pushed me. He said you were planning to leave me, that you'd take everything. He made me believe I was fighting for my life, and I was weak enough to listen. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know I loved you in my own broken way. Mark. Anna's eyes blurred, not from love, not from pity. From the cruel irony of it all, he loved me. The words were poison wrapped in paper. That night, she couldn't sleep. The house creaked, and every sound felt like a ghost. She walked into the living room, sat by the fire, and held the letter again. Part of her wanted to burn it. Part of her wanted to understand. But then she remembered the night she'd overheard him. His voice, low, cold, almost amused. As soon as she dies, all the money is mine. That was the truth. Everything else was manipulation. Still, she whispered to the fire, I hope you find peace, Mark, but not through me. The flames took the letter slowly, curling the edges into ash. When it was gone, she felt lighter. The next morning, a knock came at her door. A uniformed guard stood there. Mrs. Wells? Yes. He handed her an envelope, official, stamped, sealed. From the state penitentiary, it's about your husband. Her heart thudded. What about him? The guard hesitated. He was found dead in his cell last night. They say it was natural causes. Anna froze. For a moment, time didn't move. Then she whispered, thank you. When the door closed, she just stood there, silent, motionless. Not crying, not smiling, just free. That evening, she went out to the lake behind the cottage. The water was still, catching the reflection of a pale orange sunset. She sat on the dock and let her feet dangle just above the water. It was the same lake her father used to take her to as a child. Back then, she'd throw pebbles and count the ripples. Now, she dropped one pebble and watched the rings spread wide, silent, endless. Her voice was barely a whisper. "It's over." But then something unexpected happened. The next morning, another letter came. This time, it was from the prison warden. It read, "Mrs. Wells, before his death, your husband requested that one item from his personal effects be sent to you. It appears to be a key. He left a note attached, which said only, 'For the truth Anna never found.'" Anna stared at the small metal key, resting in the envelope. It was old, bronze, engraved with 2 letters, AW her initials. She turned it over and a chill ran through her. Etched faintly on the back were 2 words. "The attic." Her pulse quickened. The attic of their old house, the one she'd left behind. She'd never gone back. The property had been locked up since the investigation, waiting to be sold. And now, suddenly, the past was calling her there again. She clenched the key in her hand. "Fine," she whispered. "One last truth." She didn't know if she was walking toward closure or another secret waiting to tear her open. But she was done running. Whatever waited in that attic, she would face it, because pretending was over. And truth was all she had left. The old house stood silent at the edge of town, wrapped in overgrown ivy and memory. Its windows were clouded with dust. Its porch creaked under the weight of time. Anna hadn't been here since the night the police took Mark away. Now she stood in front of it again, the bronze key clenched in her palm, the one engraved with her initials, AW. The late afternoon sun dipped low, casting long shadows that stretched across the yard like fingers reaching back from the past. She hesitated before unlocking the door. It stuck, as if the house itself didn't want her back. When it finally gave, the smell hit her: stale wood, faint mold, and something older, like secrets sealed too long. The silence was thick. Every step she took echoed down the hallway, stirring ghosts she thought she'd buried. Her eyes landed on the staircase, narrow, crooked, leading up to the attic door she'd never opened. She climbed slowly, the key warm in her hand. Each step creaked like a whisper. When she reached the top, she saw it: a small wooden door with chipped white paint and a brass lock. She fit the key in. It turned smoothly, like it had been waiting for her all this time. Inside was dust, sunlight, and stillness. Boxes lined the walls, old photo albums, labeled storage trunks, and in the center a small wooden chest. Her name was carved on it, Anna. She crouched, hands trembling, and opened it. Inside were stacks of letters, some old and yellowed, others newer. All of them addressed to her, but not from Mark. From her father. She picked one at random. "Anna, if you're reading this, it means the truth has found its way to you. I tried to warn you about Thomas Gray. He came to me years ago, pretending to be a friend. He said he could manage the ranch after I was gone, that he'd protect you. But I learned too late that he was already working with someone. I never knew who." Anna's breath caught. She flipped through more letters, each one piecing together fragments of what her father had discovered before his death. Financial discrepancies, fake contracts, property deeds, all pointing to one name she didn't expect: her mother. Anna froze, reading her father's final line. "If something happens to me, find your mother's hidden ledger. The answers are inside." Her mother had died when Anna was a child. Everyone said it was an accident, a fire in her studio. But now she wasn't sure. She searched the attic frantically, knocking over boxes, coughing as dust filled the air. Finally, under a pile of old quilts, she found it: a charred leather notebook, its cover cracked but still legible. She opened it slowly. Page after page detailed financial records, secret transactions under aliases she didn't recognize, until she saw one name that made her stomach drop: Thomas Gray. And another right below it, Mark Wells. Her mother's handwriting was precise, careful. She wasn't a victim, she'd been part of it. The estate money, the trusts, the manipulation, it had all started with her. Mark hadn't married Anna for greed alone. He'd married her to finish what her mother began. Anna sank to her knees, clutching the book to her chest. The truth felt heavy, too heavy for one lifetime. Her mother, her husband, her father's warnings, all of it connected, circling back to her. A family built on secrets, and she was the last one standing. A sound broke the silence, a faint creak downstairs. Anna froze, her breath caught in her throat. "Hello," she called softly. No answer. She stepped down the stairs, her pulse hammering. The floor groaned under her weight. Then she saw movement, a figure standing by the front door, half hidden by the fading light. "Anna Wells," a man's voice said. He stepped forward, wearing a dark suit. Late 50s, gray hair. "I'm sorry to intrude. My name is Agent Monroe, Federal Bureau of Investigation." Her body went rigid. "FBI," he nodded. "We've been reopening several financial cases connected to Thomas Gray. Your late husband's name appeared again, and so did your mother's." Anna clutched the ledger tighter. "I just found proof," she said. "My mother was involved. She worked with them." Monroe's expression darkened. "We know. That's why we need you, Mrs. Wells. You're the only one who can help us finish what your father started." For a long moment, Anna just stood there. Years ago, she'd been a woman suffocating in silence. Then, a widow haunted by betrayal. Now she realized she wasn't a victim anymore. She was the key, the final piece. She looked at the agent and nodded. "Tell me what you need." As they stepped out of the house, the sun finally broke through the clouds, lighting the broken porch with gold. Anna glanced back one last time at the attic window, where shadows once whispered lies. Now it stood open, sunlight pouring in. She exhaled. The past was no longer her prison. It was her proof. The black sedan cut through the morning fog as Anna sat in the back seat beside Agent Monroe. A thin file rested on her lap. The ledger, the USB, and the final letter from her father. Her fingers tightened around them like they were her last lifeline. "Where are we going?" she asked. Monroe's eyes stayed on the road. "To the city. Thomas Gray had offshore connections, and one of them just came back to the States. We think he's tied to your family's estate." Anna frowned. "Tied how?" He glanced at her in the mirror. "He was your mother's silent partner, the one your father could never identify." They stopped outside a tall glass building in downtown Chicago. The sign read, Garrick Financial Group. Anna's breath caught. "I know that name. My mother used to get mail from them." Monroe nodded grimly. "That's because the CEO, Alan Garrick, was once your mother's lawyer." The car doors opened. Inside the building, the air smelled like new money, polished floors, marble desks, and the quiet arrogance of power. As they stepped into the elevator, Anna's pulse quickened. Each floor they passed felt like climbing back into the nightmare she'd just escaped. When the doors opened on the top floor, two men in suits waited. One smiled, a thin, practiced smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Agent Monroe," he said smoothly. "And you must be Mrs. Wells. I've been expecting you." Anna froze. "Expecting me?" Garrick nodded. "Word travels fast when old names resurface." Monroe's jaw tightened. "We have questions about your financial dealings with Thomas Gray and Margaret Wells." At her mother's name, Anna's heart twisted. Garrick motioned to the chairs. "By all means, let's talk." They sat. The tension was sharp enough to cut glass. "Mrs. Wells," Garrick began, "your mother was a visionary. She wanted control, security. Thomas Gray and your husband, they were amateurs compared to her." Anna's voice trembled. "You worked with her." He smiled faintly. "Worked for her at first, but Margaret, she wanted more than just money. She wanted power." Monroe leaned forward. "You helped her hide it. Offshore accounts, falsified trusts, estate laundering." Garrick shrugged. "All legal at the time, technically." "Technically," Monroe's tone hardened. "You helped orchestrate a murder cover-up." Anna's breath hitched. "Murder?" Garrick looked at her with something like pity. "You really don't know, do you?" "Know what?" "Your father didn't die of natural causes, Anna. He found out what your mother and I were doing. He was going to expose us." The room spun. Garrick leaned back, his voice calm. "The fire that killed your mother wasn't an accident. It was your father's doing to stop her. But he couldn't live with it. So he hid the evidence and let the story stand." Anna's chest constricted. "You're lying." "Am I?" Garrick opened a drawer and slid a photo across the table, an old crime scene image. Her father, standing in front of a burning studio, ash covering his face. Agent Monroe's hand went to his sidearm. "Where did you get this?" But before Garrick could answer, a gunshot cracked the air. The glass behind him exploded. Garrick slumped forward, blood blooming across his shirt. "Down!" Monroe shouted, tackling Anna to the floor. Screams erupted in the hallway. Another shot shattered a vase near the door. Monroe drew his weapon and crawled toward the window. "Sniper, we're compromised." Anna's ears rang, heart hammering. Who would? "Someone cleaning up loose ends," Monroe said. "They don't want you alive, Anna. You're the last link." They crawled through the side exit as security alarms blared. Down the stairwell, 10 floors. Anna's hands shook, gripping the banister. "You think Thomas's network is still active?" Monroe nodded grimly. "Gray, Garrick, your mother, they built something big. Someone else inherited it." Outside, they burst into the parking lot. Monroe's radio crackled. "Unit 3, shooter on the adjacent rooftop. 2 down, 1 target exfiltrating east." Monroe turned to Anna. "They're after the ledger." Anna reached into her jacket. "Then they'll have to kill me to get it." Hours later, safe in a federal safe house, she sat at a small metal table as Monroe paced. "We've confirmed the shooter's identity. Contract killer, paid through one of Garrick's shell accounts." "By who?" Monroe hesitated. "We're still tracing it." Anna stared at the ledger, its worn cover now flecked with blood from the chaos. "My father burned everything to stop this, and I rebuilt it by accident." Monroe stopped pacing. "Anna, listen to me. You didn't start this, but you can end it." She met his eyes. "How?" He pointed to the ledger. "That book holds names, politicians, investors, judges. If we expose them, the whole network falls." Anna swallowed hard. "Then let's finish it." 2 days later, under heavy security, Anna testified before a federal grand jury. Her voice didn't shake once. The courtroom was silent as she described how Thomas Gray and Alan Garrick manipulated her family's wealth, how her mother's greed and her father's guilt destroyed everything they built. By the time she placed the ledger on the evidence table, the room was stone quiet. The judge finally spoke. "Mrs. Wells, thank you for your courage." That night, back in her motel, Anna sat by the window, watching city lights shimmer like 1,000 tiny fires. She felt hollow but clean, like her heart had been scraped raw and now, at last, it could heal. A soft knock came at the door. Monroe. He held out a folder. "The case is over. The last names have been arrested." "You did it." Anna smiled faintly. "No, my father did. I just listened to what he tried to tell me." Monroe nodded. "What will you do now?" She looked out at the skyline, the city still buzzing with life. "Maybe start over. Somewhere quiet, somewhere truth doesn't have to hide." When he left, Anna opened the window and let the cool air in. She whispered into the dark, "I forgive you, Dad. And Mom, wherever you are, I hope you finally see what all that power cost." The wind stirred gently, carrying the faint smell of rain. She closed her eyes. For the first time, she didn't feel hunted. She felt whole. The hospital room felt too quiet. Machines beeped softly. A curtain swayed from the air vent's hum. Anna sat beside Agent Cole's bed. His face was pale, a bandage wrapped around his ribs. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, sharp and clean, too clean for a man who had almost bled out 2 nights ago. "You should be resting," Cole muttered, eyes fluttering open. "So should you," Anna replied. Her voice was calm, but her hand trembled around the cup of coffee she'd been holding for an hour. "They said the gunman escaped," Cole sighed. "He didn't escape, he was helped." Anna froze. "By who?" Cole turned his head slowly toward her. "The same man who paid your husband to marry you." Her stomach dropped. For months, she'd believed Mark, the husband who tried to kill her, was the end of the nightmare. But now, sitting in that sterile room, she realized he had been only a tool. A bigger shadow was moving the pieces. Later that night, Anna walked alone through the dimly lit parking lot outside the hospital. Rain had started to fall, a quiet drizzle that shimmered under the lamps. A car engine idled nearby. Black sedan, windows tinted. She slowed. A man stepped out, tall, gray suit, umbrella balanced neatly over his head. His shoes didn't splash in the puddles. He walked with the care of someone used to being obeyed. "Mrs. Collins," he said. His tone was polite, too polite. Or should I say, Anna Weaver? Her heart skipped. No one had called her by her maiden name in years. "Who are you?" He smiled faintly. "Your husband worked for me. Unfortunately, he became too emotional. You were supposed to die quietly, inherit the fortune, and transfer control to our foundation. But you survived." Anna clenched her fists. "You think I'm just going to hand it over now?" he chuckled. You misunderstand. I don't need your permission anymore, just your absence. From the corner of her eye, she saw 2 more men stepping out of the car. This wasn't a conversation. It was an execution. She ran. Her heels splashed through the puddles, heartbeat pounding in her ears. Headlights flared behind her, cutting through the fog. She darted between cars, the rain soaking her hair and jacket. Anna, a voice shouted Coles. She turned. He was standing by his SUV, one arm still in a sling, aiming his gun with the other. Down! Shots cracked. The windshield of a nearby car shattered. Anna dropped to the ground. Tires screeched. One of the men went down, Cole's bullet finding its mark. The other fled back into the sedan, which sped away into the night, red taillights vanishing into the rain. Cole limped toward her, breathing hard. You okay? Anna nodded shakily. That man, he said Mark worked for him. Cole's jaw tightened. Yeah, his name's Victor Hale, CEO of Hale Trust. Old money, old power. He's been laundering funds through fake marriages and deaths. And now that you lived, you're his liability. Anna's voice broke. He killed my husband. He killed my peace. He tried to kill me. Cole looked at her, steady and grim. Then let's kill his empire. 2 weeks later, Anna sat in a high-rise office across from a table stacked with files and evidence. Fake charities, offshore accounts, marriage licenses, death certificates. Her story, her suffering, was a ledger entry in a billion-dollar scheme. She stared out the window. Below, the city glowed with quiet indifference. I'll testify, she said finally. Cole smiled faintly. You sure? She met his eyes. He burned everything I had. It's time I light a fire of my own. When Victor Hale was finally arrested, the news spread like wildfire. Philanthropist arrested for murder for money scheme. Dozens of victims connected through fake marriages. Survivor helps bring billionaire to justice. Anna watched the footage on TV, her expression unreadable. When the camera zoomed in on Hale's handcuffed wrists, she exhaled not in triumph but in quiet, exhausted peace. That night, she walked through her empty home one last time. The photos were gone. The papers burned. The silence was heavy but clean. Cole waited by the door, hands in his pockets. You sure about leaving? She nodded. This place holds too many ghosts. He smiled softly. Where will you go? Anywhere the rain sounds softer, she said. He chuckled. That's not on any map. Then I'll find it myself. As she stepped into the night, rain began to fall again, gentle this time, almost forgiving. Each drop felt like a new beginning. She felt whole. The small town of Windermere looked like a place the world forgot. One main street, 2 diners, a post office with a flickering sign that hadn't been fixed in years. Anna Weaver, now going by Evelyn James, rented a small cabin at the edge of town. The air smelled like pine and rain. Her nearest neighbor was a retired teacher who waved every morning, unaware that the quiet woman next door had once been headline news. For the first time in years, Anna felt something close to peace. She worked at the local library, sorting books and helping children with school projects. She liked the hush between pages, the calm rhythm of ordinary days. No cameras, no whispers, no threats. Sometimes she almost believed she'd outrun her past, until the envelope arrived. It came one Tuesday morning, plain white, no return address. The handwriting was elegant. Her real name was written on the front, Anna Weaver. Her heart stopped. She looked around, the mailman was already driving off and the street was empty. Slowly, she tore the envelope open. Inside was a single Polaroid photo, a man in a suit, Victor Hale's lawyer, standing outside her cabin, last night. Beneath the photo, a note, "Some debts don't end with prison." That night, Anna didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed, watching the trees sway in the moonlight. Her hands trembled around the phone. She could call Cole, but part of her hesitated. He'd done enough. He'd almost died for her once. She couldn't pull him back into this. She reached into her nightstand and took out a small black box. Inside, a gun. Cole had given it to her before she left the city. Just in case, he'd said. She never thought she'd need it, but fear had a way of reviving old instincts. The next day, she walked to work as if nothing happened. The librarian, Mrs. Porter, greeted her with a warm smile. "Morning, Evelyn. You look pale, dear. Everything okay?" Anna forced a small nod. "Just didn't sleep much." Mrs. Porter patted her arm. "You need rest. The world can wait." Anna smiled faintly. The world never waited, not for her. Later that afternoon, as she shelved books in the back corner, she noticed something. A man sitting by the window, reading a newspaper, not from town, dark suit, expensive watch, cold eyes that never really looked at the page. When she turned toward him, he folded the paper, stood up, and walked out. No words, no rush, just purpose. That evening, Anna called Cole. "It's happening again," she whispered. He was silent for a long time. "Where are you?" "Windermere, cabin 9. "I'll be there in 5 hours. Don't open the door for anyone." Cole, but he had already hung up. She stood by the window, watching headlights crawl along the distant road. The night felt heavier than usual, as if even the air was waiting for something. Then came the knock, 3 sharp taps, her breath caught. "Evelyn," a man's voice called. "I'm from the county office. Just need your signature for a land survey." Her fingers tightened around the gun. "No, thank you," she said, voice trembling. "Ma'am, it'll only take a second." She stepped closer to the door, heart hammering. Through the peephole, a face she didn't recognize. Mid-40s, clean cut, calm eyes, but his left hand, hidden behind his clipboard, was gloved. She knew that trick. Assassins hid their tells in their hands. "Please leave," she said. Silence. Then a faint metallic click. She dove to the floor. The bullet tore through the lock. Wood splintered. Anna crawled behind the couch, breathing fast, adrenaline flooding her chest. 2 more shots. Glass shattered. She fired back blindly. One shot, then another. Footsteps retreated outside. Tires squealed. Then silence. When Cole arrived at dawn, the front door was hanging by one hinge. He found Anna sitting in the kitchen, bruised and shaking, her gun still in her hand. "They know where I am," she said hoarsely. Cole's jaw clenched. "You're not running again." "I have to, no." He set down a thick folder on the table. Inside, surveillance photos, account transfers, messages. "We've been tracking Hale's associates for months. They're trying to rebuild the network. You're the key witness again." Anna rubbed her face. "I don't want to live like this forever." He looked at her, tired but steady. "Then let's end it. For good." The next few days blurred into motion. Cole arranged safe transport to the city. They met quietly with the district attorney, turning over evidence Hale had hidden in offshore servers. Anna faced them all, lawyers, agents, reporters, with calm fire in her eyes. She wasn't the woman who cried on hospital floors anymore. She was the survivor who refused to vanish. A month later, Hale's lawyer, the man in the Polaroid, was arrested trying to flee the country. He confessed under pressure. He named every name. The network crumbled. When Anna watched the final trial on television, she didn't cry this time. She only whispered, "It's over." Cole, sitting beside her, glanced her way. "You sure?" She smiled faintly. "It will be, when I stop looking over my shoulder." That night, she walked outside her cabin one last time. The rain had stopped. Stars glimmered faintly above the trees. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel threatening. It felt earned. The world felt slower now, or maybe Anna finally moved at its real pace. Months had passed since the last trial. Victor Hale's empire was gone. Every crooked deal, every secret account, dismantled piece by piece. The faces that once haunted her dreams were now behind bars or erased from the world altogether. And yet, even after all the noise faded, Anna found herself afraid of silence. She'd lived too long waiting for footsteps outside her door, too long expecting the next lie, the next betrayal. Now there were only birds in the trees, the hum of the river behind her cabin, and the soft rhythm of life returning, like the world exhaling after holding its breath for too many years. Cole visited sometimes. He always knocked twice, just enough to let her know it was him. He'd bring coffee, sometimes pastries, and always that faint half-smile that said, "You survived, and I'm proud of you." "Still reading?" he asked one morning, leaning on her porch railing. Anna looked up from her book, an old paperback about second chances. "Trying to," she said with a laugh. "Sometimes I lose focus. My brain expects danger every time the wind blows." He nodded. "That's what happens when you live through fire." They stood there quietly for a while, watching the mist lift off the river. Then he said, "You know, they offered me a transfer. Washington, better position." Anna smiled faintly. You'll take it. He hesitated. I wasn't sure. You should, she said softly. You saved me, Cole, but you can't live inside my past. Neither can I. His eyes met hers, tired, gentle, grateful. You sure you'll be okay? Anna looked toward the horizon, sunlight warming her face. For the first time, yeah, I think I will. That evening, she walked barefoot to the riverbank. The water shimmered in gold and silver streaks. The air smelled of wet earth and cedar. She sat on a flat rock and closed her eyes. For the first time, she didn't see Mark, didn't hear Victor Hale's voice, didn't feel the weight of fear pressing against her ribs. All she felt was stillness. She whispered into the air, I forgive you, Mom, for leaving me with the wrong people. I forgive myself for staying too long. And I forgive them not because they deserve peace, but because I do. Her voice broke, but the tears that came weren't from pain. They were release. The wind stirred the water gently, as if the world was listening. Weeks turned into months. Anna began painting again, something she hadn't done since before her marriage. Her cabin walls slowly filled with color. Sunsets, fields, faces she'd lost and found again through memory. The townsfolk knew her now not as Evelyn or Anna Weaver, but simply as the woman who paints near the river. Children would wave at her from the bridge. Old Mrs. Porter often brought cookies and told her how the library missed her. Life had found her again, quiet, humble, and beautifully ordinary. One spring morning, a letter arrived. It was from Cole, typed neatly like a report but personal in every line. We closed the last case connected to Hale. It's over. For good this time. Thought you'd want to know, Washington's busy but good. I think you'd like the museums here. Keep painting. The world needs people who remember what peace looks like. She smiled, folded the letter, and placed it between the pages of her book. Outside, the wind carried the scent of rain, but this time it didn't scare her. It reminded her of how far she'd come. She walked out to the porch, lifted her face to the sky, and let the first few drops fall. No more hiding, no more running, just living. The sun rose slowly over Windmere, gilding the trees in soft gold. Morning mist curled along the riverbank, just the way it always had. The cabin by the water looked the same, though its walls were brighter now, touched with new paint and life. Inside, laughter echoed. Children's laughter. Anna smiled as she watched two little boys chase each other through the yard, their boots splashing through puddles from last night's rain. A golden retriever barked and joined the chaos. Careful, she called, laughing. You'll scare the fish before breakfast. The older boy turned, freckles glowing in the sunlight. They like us, Mom. Of course they do, Anna said, shaking her head. You talk more than the birds. She stepped outside, holding 2 plates of pancakes. Her hair, once dark and short, was longer now, streaked with strands of sunlight. The woman who had once lived in fear now carried peace in her every gesture. On the porch table lay a few art brushes and half-finished paintings, not of tragedy, but of skies and children and the small, miraculous beauty of ordinary days. At noon, she drove into town. Windmere had changed too. The post office sign was finally fixed. The diner had new chairs, same old smell of coffee and pie. The library had a fresh coat of blue paint, and the children's section now bore a hand-painted sign, dedicated to Evelyn James for reminding us that stories can save us. Anna paused when she saw it. Her throat tightened. She hadn't expected that. Looks good, doesn't it? Mrs. Porter said, appearing beside her with a gentle smile. We thought you might drop by today. Anna nodded softly. It's beautiful. Mrs. Porter patted her shoulder. So are second chances, dear. That evening, as the sky turned crimson, Anna sat by the river again, the same rock, the same soft hum of water. A car pulled up behind her. She didn't turn right away. She knew that sound. Cole stepped out, older now, hair touched with gray, still wearing that quiet confidence that seemed carved into him. Didn't think I'd find you painting this late, he said. She smiled. You always did have good timing. He walked closer, hands in his pockets. Washington's busy, loud, I got tired of loud. You didn't drive 6 hours just to complain about traffic. He chuckled. No, I came to see if peace really looks like you said it would. Anna tilted her head, studying the river. And what do you think? He took a long breath, watching the water catch the dying light. I think you were right. They stood there for a moment, no sirens, no danger, no ghosts. Just two people who had crawled through hell and somehow found grace on the other side. Stay for dinner, Anna asked quietly. Cole smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. The children's laughter floated from the cabin. The sun slipped below the horizon. The first stars blinked awake. Anna looked at the sky and whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, I'm home.